Welcome to the Indie Corner, where we talk about all things independent comics. I'm Mikey.
I'm Demoan.
And today, people are back at it again. I know you've missed us because we've had a long hiatus because we're done with finals, the semester's over, as well as, I had other videos planned, but such as, Jupiter's Legacy and then Invincible and then the Invincible review. But, scheduling conflicts have occurred, so that's why we haven't been posting in a while. But we're back because, I promised Jupiter's Legacy.
Just the schedules.
Exactly. So, because I promised, I put Jupiter's Legacy up, but it just wasn't working schedule-wise. So me and Demoan were like, yo, let's do another Mark Millar book, and we'll do our favorite Mark Millar book, which is the book Prodigy by Mark Millar and drawn by Rafael Albuquerque, who you're familiar with Albuquerque's work, Demoan? I think he did some Batman.
Yes, then I am.
American Vampire, I think.
I did read a little of that.
Yeah, he's a great artist. But yeah, this book came out in 2018. No, it's awesome. And this book came out in 2018. And it's actually owned. It's an Image comic, but it's actually owned by Netflix because Mark Millar's company, indie book company Millarworld, got bought by Netflix in 2017. Mm-hmm. And so the deal was that not only would they be taking some of his existing work and adapting it into TV shows and movies, but also they're actually making comics for Netflix, and those will also be adapted into media on the streaming service at some point. So yeah, this Prodigy is going to be a live action movie.
It looks it's so fun looking.
Yeah, no,
it's so fun as a movie.
Yeah, I can't wait. I don't know when that will come out, but yeah, that's why you have Jupiter's Legacy on Netflix right now. So we will do Jupiter's Legacy. That is happening. That, and I know some of us are watching the show, and yeah, that will happen. But yeah, man. So I guess we'll get right into it. So I will do issue 1 of Prodigy. So yeah, man. Look at in this cover. I love this cover. Just because it's obviously an homage of the Thinker sculpture. That's one of my favorite pieces of art ever. I love the Thinker. Yeah, man. So obviously, yeah, this involves a man who does a lot of thinking. So this issue,
he might even be the best thinker.
Yeah, even the best thinker. We'll find out. So this issue begins with a flashback in 1993 with the main character as a kid named Edison Crane, who is a mixed child. He's half black, half white, and he is a child of rich privilege. His father is they don't say what he does, but he's a rich executive. And this is basically a flashback of an important time in his life when he won a polo tournament for his school. And if you notice that the people look a little bit older than he does, he's around 11 years old and he's in high school. So he obviously skipped a lot of grades.
This is what we were talking about when he said he's the best thinker.
Yeah. Yeah. The thing with Edison Crane is, he is basically the smartest man on earth. And
I would honestly say the smartest man in existence right now.
Yeah, basically. It's
I can't if this man has he doesn't even just have a photographic memory, he learns at a pace that's just insanely fast.
Yeah, which we'll just talk about later on, he explains how his mind actually works. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so basically this scene's a flashback. He wins a pole tournament and these 3 jocks are jealous because they got outmatched by a 12-year-old kid. And they decided after the locker rooms to, beat on a 12-year-old kid, which is really they really beat the shit out of him too, which should be illegal.
Well, Mike, it actually, fun fact, is illegal to beat up a 12-year-old kid, but they're beating up an 11-year-old kid, which is fine.
Okay, fine. Yeah, I guess that's okay. But yeah, so after that experience, he talks with his friend who we don't really know the name of yet. But they basically yo, his friend's why'd they beat you up? Yeah, because I won a polo tournament and I'm 6 years younger than them. But you know what? They're gonna get theirs because I am a smart motherfucker and I'm gonna watch a bunch of these Bruce Lee films martial arts films and start analyzing all the movements and taking that information in so I could beat the crap out of him, which he does.
Which is so crazy. Which
Dude.
I'm not gonna. That was something that I saw, and that reminded me of Limitless.
Oh yeah.
When he had he took the pill, and then he looked back at the fight scenes he used to watch, and then instantly adapted to fighting like that. I always thought that was cool.
Yeah, which is
I like seeing it like here.
I get the vibes from that as well. Limitless is one of my favorite like movies, and the TV show I think is really fun. I love the TV show.
It is. I like both too.
But yeah, but he specifically has been watching Jackie Chan, Bruce Lee, Jean-Claude Van Damme, and Xia Hui Lu movies to get their moves down. And as we see here, he literally beats the living crap out of them, and it's awesome. And if you will notice with the book that Edison's like, even though he is the smartest, he's very like his intelligence comes with arrogance. So he was like, yeah, also now that I beat the crap out of you, just like let the school know that I'm packing my things because I know I'm getting expelled.
But, he knows he's smarter than everybody, but he also just assumes everyone else is dumb.
Yeah,
which isn't always true.
Mm-hmm.
But he's still smarter than them though, so I don't exactly know how to.
Exactly. Yeah. No, for sure. But so then after that, it transitions to 94, where his parents are having some lunch with some dinner at their place with some close friends, which is actually the parents that the parents of the friend that he was talking to earlier about the bullies. And they're basically discussing, hey, like, it's nice to have you for dinner. I'm glad that our sons are being great friends, really getting along. And his mother mentions that they're worrying that, like, they've been worrying about their son's, his name is Jasper's, cardiac issues. And when they go to check on the kids, they basically walk into Edison giving Jasper heart surgery in his room.
Which... Can you imagine walking into your room and watching your kid give another kid open heart surgery? I think that would be insane. I don't know how I would react.
Because I'm not really sure if they know much about his mind, his grandiose mind yet. But like, they literally be like, "Yo, what are you doing?" Like they would like maybe think, "Yo, our kid's a psychopath." But then Edison reassures them, "Don't worry, I'm stitching up your son's. I think it's I forget which artery it is. It's his pericardium artery, and is about to attach a stone around. So your son's gonna be good as new in just a little bit. I just need some. Just don't distract me."
And I don't even know how I would process that. That's just insane.
I would be terrified as a parent. But yeah, so obviously we can see that Edison can master fighting abilities as well as perform expert master level is a master level surgeon.
Yeah.
At 12.
Insane.
It's nuts. But yeah, so it transitions to the present day in Arizona where we get to see Edison as a grown adult. He's around like 35, I'd say. And he is in this page. He literally is working on some schematics and playing chess. And is involved in a world chess championship with playing against 6 other chess players at the same time, and it's like dope. But while he's doing that, like while he's playing chess, he is essentially talking to a group of scientists in New Mexico that are trying to stop this meteor from crashing into the Earth. And the anticipated impact time is around 12 years. So while he's talking, it looks like he's paying attention to them, but in reality, he's basically like calling checkmate on every single one of these chess players, except for one guy named Mr. Romanov, who he has not beaten yet, but he will. And you can see all these fucking chess players.
He's waiting. Mr. Romanov's holding out. He should be proud of himself.
Word. Listen, to be able to like lose against to not make the smartest man alive lose is pretty wild. But then while like his chess game's done, now he's talking about the rocket, and it basically is going to cause an extinction level event when it hits the Earth. And so the problem is making a rocket will take a lot will take that same amount of time. So launching it's kind of an issue. So that's what he's debating. So we get a pretty cool preview on his brilliant mind, how his subconscious works. And it's this
like one of those
I forget the
mazes that they call
I forget the piece of art that's referencing, but it's like the infinite staircase. I know that's what it's called. It's so cool. I love the look, and we get these various versions of Edison's subconscious walking around and talking about multiple
different
topics at the same time. Yeah, it's really dope.
It's real cool.
But yeah, and so he's talking about the amount of time this rocket will take to make, when we could launch it, how much it would cost, and all that stuff. And so once he gets that squared away, he leaves he puts a motorcycle helmet on and he's also a stuntman, and he's doing this really crazy stunt in front of school children, because these children, he has a thing where these children write letters to him about crazy stunts they want him to see him do, and then he actually tries to do it. So this student decided, like, would it be a cool idea if you could, like, jump across the Grand Canyon on a motorcycle without a parachute, losing with your body on fire, and then losing the bike halfway to then land in a big vat of water.
It's so specific. It's so specific.
But it's kind of funny because he actually does it. And we get this really cool double page splash of him attempting this crazy ass stunt, and these kids being like, "Oh my god, this man's gonna die."
So insane. But he doesn't. He's alive. He's alive every time.
He's not failed, obviously, because this would be a very short book if he died right then and there. But yeah, so once he lands in that vat, his I think it's his assistant Candace and basically gives him his itinerary for other things in his schedule. And we get this really important flashback, I think, where we get to see him and his mom, him as a baby, I believe, and they're playing with those alphabet blocks that we used to play as babies and toddlers. And she points specifically that the blocks are on ABC, and he's like, listen, always remember this stands for always be curious, and she says, promise me you'll never be otherwise, and this basically sticks in his head. And so once this itinerary is being read to him, his Candace basically like, yo, there's these really weird materializations popping up in Australia that I think you want to be interested in. I think you should check that out. But at the same time, he is also, which is also important for later. There's another stunt challenge that this kid wanted, where he needs to drive a car off a roof of their Berlin office and land on a specific floor in the opposite building. And he thought it was requested by the same kid, which is so funny.
I like how he knows, though. He knows just by the request.
Exactly. And it's kind of wild. When he finds these materializations in Australia very interesting, so he decides to take everything off of itinerary to focus on that, because he doesn't I will read the quote right here. It says, I've written 3 plays, designed a new telecommunication system, and invented a polymer that keeps food fresh for a century. I also grew the company 30% last night, but I'll slit my wrist if I have to look at another spreadsheet, because he likes to keep his brain, he needs to relax. And this is a form of relaxation for him, is going on investigating random materializations in Australia.
I mean, listen, it's more fun than spreadsheets.
That's true. So it transitions to Alice Springs, Australia, 24 hours later, where we can see this couple walking, and this guy basically starts getting a pain in his chest, but then he thinks it's indigestion, and then he basically explodes into a car, and you're just like, this is where for me this book was like, what?
I thought that was the funniest thing that they did, that they would just explode cars into people. I don't know why, but I think that's very funny.
That is very funny,
because they didn't need the people for it. They could have just done the teleportations, but for some reason they went out of their way to do the people.
Yep.
It's so dumb and unnecessary, and I love it.
Yeah. So then we obviously the next page we found that there's a bunch of other people, all of these like strange cars in a row, and when you open them, there are these cages filled with dead animals, and we'll see what that entails later on. But it so transitions to Edison at this military base nearby, and they're trying to figure out like why are like these like cars teleporting in like into people, and why do they have like dead mice, rabbits, canaries in them, and they're all burnt to a crisp. And he's basically just like like this is interesting. Like he's getting very intrigued by it, but at the same time they also discovered this random ass spaceship appearing out of nowhere. And yeah, pretty much it's just like he's finding this a lot more fascinating. He's like, there any passengers? He's like, yeah, one in each ship, but they didn't make it. They were both like baked alive.
It's true.
And
what happened to all the other animals, by the way, that came through? They were all burnt to a crisp.
Exactly. So basically he's basically just like trying to examine, like they did x-rays on them, and they're obviously they're human. They're human beings, so they're very confused of like why are so aliens are attacking, like what's going on. And he's like, no, they're not extraterrestrial. They've traveled here from a parallel Earth, and these animals in their cages were their test subjects. And he thinks that these pilots are a first of many, and that an invasion is probably on the way. And he surmised that literally like after like 20 minutes of being there.
Yeah. I mean, listen, if we're going to be honest, I feel like an invasion would have probably been the first thing I thought of.
Exactly.
But, gosh, I just love the idea of an invasion like this.
Exactly. Which is interesting. Like a more like instead of an alien, an extraterrestrial invasion, it's a more invasion from another Earth, which is kind of cool.
Right. It's a thinly veiled metaphor for humans are our own worst enemies.
Exactly. So after that transition to Singapore, we get this really cool flashback, and I didn't put this in my visual aids, but it's a flashback of his dad like yelling at him, being like, yo, like I'm trying to pass on a legacy to you. I want you to run my company, but you're too busy solving puzzles. You need to grow up, Edison. And he's just like, Dad, I love this quote, is like, when the world becomes less curious, Dad, like that's when he'll grow up. Because he's always thinking, and his dad's okay, fine.
Always be curious.
Exactly. And he's like, you know what? Screw you. If here's a nickel, like this will be your
silver dollars. Don't throw it. It's a silver dollar, not a nickel.
Yeah, it's silver dollar. It's not a nickel. But he's like, here's a silver dollar. Here's your entire inheritance. There you go. Thanks for being a fuck up. And he's just like, listen. I'll show you. I'm gonna turn this into $1 billion by the end of the year. And I'm just like, yes.
It's so crazy. Honestly, I hope he has that. Does he have? Do we see him with that silver dollar?
I don't think we see it again, actually.
Okay, because I always thought that was something that would have been cool.
Yeah, for sure.
But obviously, just unfortunate.
But yeah, so. Thing is like with the page, it's like just it's a page just focused on him. Then when the flashback's done, we see that he's standing next to both of his assistants tranquilized on the floor, and we get introduced to a character by the name of Rachel Starks, who we'll find out in a bit in the next issue. But she said she couldn't risk making a formal appointment, and basically she heard about the fact that like he's investigating these random materializations. And basically, she basically has more information on it, that it's a plan by the worst people alive, that she describes them. Mm-hmm. And if he's interested in learning more, like they should get in touch. And then the issue ends with him being like I think he's talking to his assistant, but I'm not really sure, like on intercom, but he's like, yo, cancel the rest of my appointments for the week. And that's how issue 1 ends. So thoughts on issue 1?
He's so excited. He just wants to solve mysteries, and I love him.
Exactly. He basically the first issue is just Edison Crane, smartest man alive, basically can do anything. He's a martial artist. He's a professor. He's a musician. He's an athlete. He's a CEO. He's a CEO. He's a businessman. He's an adventurer.
He's a writer and a musician.
Yeah,
He's
he
everything.
really can do anything. And even though he does a lot of things that benefit the world, what gives him joy is solving the mysteries that people can't
He
solve.
just solves mysteries for fun, which I think is the best thing
Yeah.
about him.
Mm-hmm. Like it's just great. So it's a good issue, even though like the teleporting like the people exploding, like people like the vehicles teleporting into people, I think is kind of random. I was like, what the hell? But I thought it was really cool. But yeah, this issue does a good job of like drawing you in, I think.
I think so too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but overall, good start. I love it.
Yeah, no, it only gets better, I think.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah,
issue 2. You ready?
Issue 2? Yeah. So issue 2 again, also a great cover. And I don't know if we've established this earlier, but like this comic, I'm assuming like with Mark Millar's like a concept for the character, he took aspects of like James Bond. There's some James Bond in here. There's some Indiana Jones in here. There is
Sherlock Holmes for sure a little.
Yeah, some Sherlock Holmes in there. There's a lot. There's like a lot of very. He takes aspects from very. You can tell what his inspiration is while writing this book of this concept.
Certainly Batman too.
And Batman.
That one.
Yeah, for sure. And this book is kind of structured, especially like panel wise, structured like a TV show or like a movie. So yeah, so this issue 2 with this awesome cover, very James Bond. And basically it takes place in Virginia a week ago, where Rachel is talking to a higher up, a general by the name of Bear Thrift Bank, which is a very sketchy name. Wink, wink. But yeah, he's basically talking about these materializations, the fact that that is this organization that's trying to seize control, and they are composed of like some of the richest, most powerful men in the world. Yeah, it's just this man trying to just freaking out. She's like, "Yo, like calm down, like you just got to chill out." And then next thing you know, he just gets shot, and she just drives away. And that's basically like she's explaining the story to Edison. And he's basically this like while they're talking, he's just analyzing her, and it's kind of wild because he's asking her.
He's not even fully paying attention to her. He's on his phone too.
Exactly, he's on his phone while he's listening to her conversation and analyzing her. And he's like, obviously, like you knew the general a long time. He's like, yeah, like I served beside him while doing intelligence support and helped identify ISIS members and ISIS supply lines in Turkey and northern Syria. And he was a great mentor of mine. And he's like, and basically one of the information that Thrift Bank told her is that there's a secret underneath in the Kremlin library. Kremlin obviously is basically the capital, is the White House of Russia. Basically the goal is we'll find what we need to find at the Kremlin. And she's basically like, I know this sounds nuts, but like, I know this sounds nuts and it sounds crazy, but like, you can trust me. It's like, listen, I've already established who you are, because while he's on this phone and listening to her story, he's been deducing everything from her speech pattern, her body language, her clothes, her posture, everything. And all from that information, he knows that, she's 32, she lost her father as a child, she entered the armed services on her mother's recommendation, and the bruises on her thumb suggest a large collection of vinyl records. Like, he already knows most of everything about her just from these minute details, which is
it's insane,
nuts.
It's insane. There's no other way to describe it.
Yeah. So and also the fact that, like, she's an expert pilot, a sniper, and she has a PhD in medieval history. And then he's like, Byzantine, actually. And he's like, yeah, I mean, same tomato.
He's off by the most minuscule amounts, and it's insane.
Yeah, the thing what I like about Edison, even though he is the smartest man in the world, and he is very arrogant at times, he does realize that he can be wrong sometimes. But it's always the minute detail, always. So they're basically like, so after that conversation happens, it transitions to a castle in Belgium referred to as the Castle of Darkness. and it's where introduced the Brotherhood of the Dragon. Is their headquarters, essentially, is the Castle of Darkness. And this child wake up, and he wakes up and looks. We basically see that, like, we see a fucking mural of Baphomet on there. So basically these guys are devil worshippers, but like if people who are into, you know, Satanism and all that stuff, the Baphomet, this version of Baphomet looks vastly different because there's two globes on the side. He's doing two of these instead of just one. Instead of usually just use like the one hand one, stuff like that. So it's interesting, and it's basically like Millar and Albuquerque putting Easter eggs of what this organization is about. So this kid wakes up, and he's confused because he sees this other kid and saying like, "Hey, like, you know, last thing I remember was, you know, at a party, and they gave us some orange juice, and it tasted funny, but they told us to drink all of it. Next time I woke up here, so these kids were obviously drugged and woke up here." And this kid's reassuring him, being like, "Yo, it's gonna be fine. Like, just do whatever. Just stay with me. I'm gonna be all right." While these guys barge in and unshackle them, and while they're walking through the Castle of Darkness, and we see a very horrifying image of a bunch of stuffed heads of children, like they're animals, like they're game, and it's kind of terrifying. And
it's like, real scary.
And
because all the mouths are sewn shut too.
Exactly. Like the mouths are shown shut, and they're clearly stuffed, and it's just awful. But he's like, you know what? Don't worry, just stick with me. You'll be okay. And we introduce you, like, you know, these swanky rich people, and, you know, they're looking at these children, and basically like, you know, here's the thing, we're gonna play like, you know, now the mamas, like, this guy's like, now the mamas and papas have got a job to do here, and it's like, then you got to protect these little cubs, which is basically like the eldest children are protecting the younger ones. And so here's the thing, right? We're gonna play a little game. It's tradition here in the Brotherhood of the Dragon. We're gonna be hunting you all. We'll give you a head start. It's gonna be cool. And when you make it to the street, you will be free, and we'll respect that because, you know, fair is fair. But obviously, like, if you don't, we're gonna hunt you down. That's how it works. And so, like, you know. And so we see this little shit with a gun, like this little kid with a gun who's, I think, one of the guys' son, and he's like, with a sniper rifle, he's like, "Yo, don't freak out." Like, and this kid's like reassuring the kid, "Don't freak out, you're gonna be okay." And so like the game begins, these kids start running, and we hear this guy call this other dude Grand Dragon, so he's the Grand Wizard of this organization. These kids start running, and there we see this little shit essentially take the sniper rifle and shoot this kid right in the head. And then
now, I do want to point out though that he's holding this sniper rifle so poorly.
Exactly, but he still manages to get a fucking bullseye on this kid.
And he's right in the head, but he should have, the recoil should slam into his eye the way he's holding that.
That is true. Yeah, like the kickback should have hurt him a little bit. And then this kid's father again shoots the main kid that we're introduced to, so they both die. And basically we introduce this man as Mr. Dashwood, and as we can see when he says "little bastard," didn't know what hit him. He's a cruel human being.
Right through the heart.
Oh my god!
Got him right through the heart.
Yeah, exactly. So after we introduced to that, he talks to his father, who is Sir Dashwood, who's the Grand Dragon of this organization, and they're basically, you know, setting up flags of where the meat went down, and now they have to proceed to hunt the rest. So yeah.
Gosh, it's insane. They're literally just hunting them for sport.
Yeah. And we will know why they will hunt them for sport later on, but it transitions to Moscow, where Edison and Rachel are at the Kremlin, and they decide, like, you know, is it gonna be okay for Putin, for Vladimir Putin, that we're going into the Kremlin to find this secret library? And he's like, "Oh no, we're not talking with Putin. I called them, to set up a meeting with his head chief of staff, because I don't want to, like, you know, cause a diplomatic catastrophe. So we're just gonna stick with this guy for now. We're not gonna fuck with Putin." And so they basically, like, they meet up with this guy. I forget his name, but it doesn't really matter. Oh, his name is General Gogol. I don't know. and he basically like talks to Edison, being like, "Hey, like you're doing a good job. Like I hear you're basically like he's revolutionizing industry, especially like with his projects in India and all that other stuff." And they're just shooting the shit. And he basically said, "Hey, like I'm trying to find your archives underneath the Kremlin that are secret. Yeah, I know you're not gonna let me do this. So here's the thing: I'm gonna knock you out, but don't worry, it's gonna be fine. Because
You won't remember a thing.
Yeah, you won't remember a thing because I learned this, this ball of chi technique from these Chinese masters."
It's just insane. This doesn't make sense.
And basically, like, he uses his ancient chi technique that he learned to essentially knock this man out. And it also gives him short-term memory, so you wouldn't remember that he even had the conversation, that Edison even showed up. It's like, what?
No, and then they just paid everyone else off.
Yeah, because like everyone's just rocking with it because Edison already paid off the entire staff of the Kremlin with like $1 billion, with like $500 million already. It's like $1 billion well spent. So it's like it's nuts. But yeah, so they basically go down underneath. They go down the staircase where they get introduced to the security detail and hand him a sledgehammer. And they're asking, "Are you sure it's this particular wall?" I was like, "Yeah, no, don't worry about it. I'm 100% sure." So he knocks this wall back to discover the hidden library underneath the Kremlin that Thriftback told Rachel. So basically, there's a bunch of books that were here from Alexandria, and their court documents from the execution of Christ. So it goes back to literally like AD. Like it's kind of wild.
So old.
But basically it's like he makes a joke. He's like, "Yo, but here's the problem though. I don't speak Russian, so we're gonna have a hard time reading these documents." He's like, "You don't speak Russian?" It's like, nah, I'm just kidding. My mom taught me Russian between Aramaic and English, so it's fine."
Which is I think it would actually be very funny though if there was just one language he just didn't bother learning.
Exactly. Yeah, so once they're going through and they realize in this page that the scroll is stolen. So basically now he has to figure out, okay, so the scroll's stolen, so where can we start from? We have to trace back to where the scroll was found. So we get this awesome page again, going back to a subconscious, all these Edisons discussing, basically trying to figure out, stop what you're doing. We got to figure out where the fuck to find the scroll.
It's so great. They're all dressed different, and they're literally putting together the pieces of a puzzle.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so cool.
Yeah, it's awesome. So they decided to track it down. They have to track it down from the source, and it's like, and it basically the search that could cover thousands of years. And he's like, "Listen, there are no other options." He's like, either way, we're working backwards through history, or we have to deal with a fucking invasion from a parallel Earth. So pick and choose, guys. So they all agree, and so that's when they establish their game plan. So, so then, according to their records, basically, like, according to these records, they have to their first stop is in the Himalayas. So he asks the guys, "Yo, I need you to clear every traffic light between here and the airport to here and like all of the airports. I believe there are 96 airports in Russia. So get to it." So it transitions to South Africa, and where we basically see this. Basically, Cape Town is practically destroyed because a bunch of these teleporting ships have just showed up out of nowhere. And we introduce again to France. I think his name is Francis. Yeah, Francis, who's the dragon, and his son, who we will.
Dasher, his name is.
Yeah, Mr. Dashwood.
Dashwood, that's what it is.
Yeah, basically just like, what the fuck, why are these ships burning to eclipse every time we teleport? Like, what's the problem? So there's a problem that they can't figure out, like the teleportation isn't correct, which is their biggest obstacle.
Mm-hmm. And he's like, everyone's coming out burned.
Exactly. So basically they're saying, we've been waiting for 15 centuries, for our masses to return to our Earth, to return here to get what they claimed for. And it's like, and basically, like, there are these bombs that they've created in this parallel Earth, and they basically he describes them as beautiful, and that these bombs can basically like burn solid matter from it. Like they can turn solid matter into like oblivion, like they like it like burned them to a crisp to the point where they don't exist. And he's like I'd give anything to see it incinerate in human to see it watch it incinerate human flesh. So like these guys obviously lack any empathy whatsoever because they're bad guys. But
they're not bad guys, they're super bad guys.
Exactly. So basically like saying like your dad will get there, and obviously the empathy shows even more when their henchman has to kneel down and so that Mr. Dashwood can burn a cigarette onto his forehead to put it out.
I mean, listen, he couldn't bring it in the car with him.
That's true. But basically, like this is this whole situation that's been happening is a failure on Francis's part. So basically, as your eldest, like one more failure, and as your eldest, I have to replace you, and that's how issue 2 ends. So thoughts on issue 2?
I enjoyed issue 2. I'm gonna say I think all the issues are good, but I think this was probably the slowest issue of the whole thing.
That is true.
Just because the first one was just kind of introducing us to this very interesting character, and this one just kind of setting up what he's going to be doing.
Exactly.
So like this one is a good issue, but I think it's the most boring out of the 6.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's cool to have them go down the rabbit hole of the mystery, like at the early steps of like finding out like what's happening.
Yeah,
and there's a lot of exposition on like all the information provided that Edison discovers while walking into the Kremlin and all that stuff. But yeah, it's one of the slower issues that happens. But obviously like the main, well, at least the beginning isn't really that slow because we get introduced to the Brotherhood of the Dragon, get more in depth introduced to the Brotherhood of the Dragon and their evil intentions, but everything beyond that's kind of slow. So yeah, I agree with that. But yeah, so any other thoughts on
besides those, nothing too specific. Again, still an enjoyable issue. I still liked it.
Yeah, it's still good, but like it's just a tad slow from the rest. Yeah, so Demoan, you want to talk about issue 3?
Yeah, we're moving on to issue 3 now.
Great cover, dude. I
all the covers are kind of just on point on this book. Yeah, they're really great covers.
Like when I saw this cover, I was like, this cover's awesome as hell, but like, isn't it impractical to be like swimming underwater with a full-on like suit on?
Just a little bit, but he's still gonna take on the shark.
Yeah, but yeah. So issue 3. Issue 3. I kind of forgot I was doing this one, by the way. But issue, I kind of forgot. But like issue 3 starts with Rachel and Edison fighting on a train, and I love this scene because it's basically just a zoom in, like a medium shot, and then a zoom out of what the shot actually entails of like the scope of like that they're fighting on top of a train while it's moving, and it's very James Bond. It's very like I love this. It's like it's great. It's one of my favorite pages. It's one of my favorite pages in the entire book. It's fantastic. But while
it's a very good page.
Exactly. But like while this fight is happening, it kind of goes back and forth where they're going from location to location, like while they're fighting, they're basically going from location to location to find each clue to go, just finding more and more clues. And so they go to Tibet, and then basically once they go to Tibet, it leads them to a place in I think it's like Samarkand called basically like to a palace. So basically like from one trail leads them to another trail essentially while they're fighting. And so like while they're fighting, this guy decides to be an idiot and decides to blow up the plane, to blow up the train like while they're on it, and which causes it to derail. And then flashbacks again to Cambodia, which leads them to Pakistan. And then this like shit's just popping off. It's just like it's so good, like
so good.
Yeah, like
and then he gets out of it in the best way possible.
Exactly. From Pakistan, they end up going to an exiled print, like an exiled, like so, like it leads into the compound of an exiled princess who collects like rare artifacts, from between 905 to 1015, AD. So basically, his plan is to knock out all the guards and then steal the artifact that will lead us to where the scroll originated from. And so that's where we find out that they're carrying this case around. And when the train basically explodes and derails, they basically like are falling off. They fall right off, obviously, because the train is derailing. And he tells Rachel, like, grab the case. Don't worry, I'll catch you. And again, in the nick of time, he saves the both of them by grabbing onto a piece of the train that's still hanging on. What do you think? It's like, dude, what?
Gosh, it's just so. It's all by one hand too. He's holding
Exactly.
2 people's body weight.
Yeah, we can assume that he is in like peak physical condition. So
absolutely, he apparently hasn't slept in months, or at least a month.
Exactly. But yeah, so he saves them in the nick of time, where we basically see these 2 goons that are left. Basically, like, like, bro, give us who work for the prince, like, yo, give us the briefcase. To give us the briefcase, and we'll still kill you. But then obviously Edison Crane, using his Edison Crane charm and wit, decides to tap into both these men's inner nature and be like, yo, like, listen, I know you had a tough past as a child because your dad beat you and you thought and your mom died and all that other stuff. Like, basically, like, he establishes their trauma and he's like, listen, I can help you out. We can establish a plan for better recovery, and I can set you up with a different career path. And so these men are like, yo, let this man up, because like we don't want to be mercenaries anymore.
Honestly, if I was about to kill someone and this man offered me a different career path and that he would help me, I would absolutely do the same thing they're doing.
Exactly. But yeah, so once they get out of that situation, they transitions to the Indian Ocean, where Edison plans to do a big scuba dive, to find basically the original place where the scroll came from, and it's underneath the ocean. And listen, I like this conversation that it has because I like this conversation that they have, because they basically decide to, she's just like, why are we, like, what about this, like why do we have to go underneath like a sunken temple? Like, I don't, she's not understanding the importance of it. And he's like, listen, he's like, not everything in the world has been mapped yet, thank God, because if it was all mapped out, like, the world would just be a boring place. And I love that.
I would like to point something else out. They went and they actually had a close-up of it in the comic, his tattoo.
His tattoo, that's the blocks that he played with as a child, that
ABC, always be curious.
Exactly, always be curious. And I think it's really sweet that's a cool homage to his mother's advice for him as a child. I think it's really nice.
It's true. I love it.
Yeah. But yeah, so I have that page. I don't know why I didn't put it up. But yeah, like, so once he dives in, we get this amazing, gorgeous splash page of this hidden city on the sunken temple, and I think it's gorgeous.
It really is.
Yeah. It's just beautiful.
Apparently, it's 10th century.
Yeah, it's from the 10th century to be exact. Yeah. But yeah, so once he finds the city, he's immediately, like, the next page follows with immediately, like, him being like, the sharks are smelling him, like, so he basically, like, sharks were like, I've noticed that he's there. And once he basically, like, he goes through this chamber of the city, where he sees basically these various paintings and murals that basically, like, showcase the history of the basically, like, the plan of the Brotherhood of the Dragon. And it's basically like the murals are tracing back all the way to Constantinople in the 17th century. And it talks about a bloodline that started by a traveler who planned on building a bridge to monsters unlike anything we've ever seen. And we get this drawing of these 2 opposite Earths with
They're
a bridge.
mirrors.
Yeah, they're mirrored with a bridge in between. But it also talks about you know, I forget what the structure is, Demoan. I forget what it's called. Yeah,
The Tower of Babel.
Yeah, that the Tower of Babel isn't actually a tower. Isn't actually a tower, but
It's
it's
one
like
part of the bridge.
yeah, it's a part of the bridge. It's the doorway to the other Earth. And next thing you know, he realizes that like Rachel's like, yo, we might have pirates coming, so you better like hurry this up. While this man at the same time is being about to be eaten by sharks. So the sharks decide to attack. And at the same time, like, yo, Rachel, drop the fucking assault rifle, please. Like,
Well,
I need to.
he really just says, Rachel, when I say drop the assault rifle, drop me the assault rifle.
Yeah, like,
And that's
like,
insane.
he's like, listen, I know we got pirates on our tail, but like, here's the thing: I'm gonna die if you don't give me the amphibious assault rifle right now. Which I think is hilarious. So yeah, like as you can see here, he starts fighting all these sharks, but then gets trapped in a cavern. Well, not trapped in a cavern, but he finds safety in a cavern while at the same time Rachel is encountering these pirates. And basically he finds out that his plan is to basically like use this explosive to ignite the rocks that are in his way, which will distract the sharks for a little bit so he can have time to swim over it while Rachel drops the rifle. And therefore they encounter these pirates. These pirates basically are thinking that they're basically like high rollers with drugs. And once he listen, as soon as I give the word, like you gotta be ready. So like, yep, he says that he's ready, and they're ready, and that he caused the explosion. She shoots all of the pirates, and then next thing you know, while these sharks are about to eat him, last second, and again this page, last second while these sharks are about to eat him, she throws the rifle down into the ocean at the perfect angle at the perfect time, and he grabs it and shoots all the sharks. And it's like, dude, what can this man not do?
The answer is nothing.
Exactly. But yeah, so basically he saves his own life with the sharks, and I love, especially like in the corner of this page, he's just like, also, by the way, please don't tell it, like, the entire like scientific community that killed all these beautiful sharks.
I mean, listen, the sharks had to go for the greater good, because the entire Earth would have been destroyed otherwise. But like, I don't blame him. I feel bad about the sharks too.
Exactly. But yeah, it's really dope. I like it's so dope. So such James Bond. But therefore, basically, like they take the information that they require, leaves them to Damascus, where he meets up with a contact. I don't remember his name either. Yeah, but they meet up with a contact in Damascus, basically talking about the Brotherhood of the Dragon and how they're an ancient cult that's been going back since like the Babylonian kings, and they've been bred to have no human empathy, which is why we see them do all the crazy evil shit that we saw them do earlier. So this basically explains that. But yeah, so they're now basically like, they're working and obviously basically it just explains their entire plan, their entire motivation, and basically like they need to go to this place where their last stop to get the information on their plan is at this place called the Temple of Bel. But the thing is, it's under like it's captured by the Islamic State, so they're basically like they're terrorists at this location, so it'll be very difficult. But they do accept bribes.
That's true.
It's like, so all we need to do is gather like $2 million and they'll give us the grand tour. And he's like, listen, but Rachel's like, but how can we get these $2 million? Like, Edison's
okay, like, first of all, this is the most ridiculous question. He literally just bribed the Kremlin with $500 million.
Yeah.
Do you think he's going to struggle to get $2 million?
Listen. But like, which is wild, because like I thought originally when I read this that he was just gonna like, again, it's like pay them, like he's had the money on hand, but like he doesn't at the moment. Like he just doesn't have the money on him right now.
He has pocket change he intends to turn into $2 million though, Mikey.
Yeah, but yeah, he has pocket chains that he will again turn into $2 million because he knows he has an old flame of his who runs a casino, and he'll basically just use his vast intelligence to turn his pocket change into 2 mil.
Mm-hmm.
And
Like
so
he literally describes this as rustling up $2 million.
exactly.
He's acting like he's going through his room trying to find pocket change amounting to $2 million. Which honestly, if I didn't expect his room to be completely spotless, I would believe.
Exactly. Like it's great. It's just great. But so they wait. They basically like he leaves. He gets the Indiana Jones hat, leaves, and then they wait an hour later to then he calls them an hour later to be like, hey guys, I got the $2 million, and we get this really cool page of them being like, wait, what the fuck, really? And he's just like, yeah, like it's just like a bunch of these guys looking fucking pissed that this man got $2 million off of them
in like the span of a couple hours. It seems like
it's great. But he basically is like, Rachel's like, everything okay? And basically is like, listen, time will tell while these men who are pissed point guns at him, and that's how issue 3 ends. So
it's such a good issue.
Dude, and it's so much fun.
God, I love
it. Is so much like we talked about the last issue being slow, which is
this one's so much faster. It didn't have that problem at all.
But this issue contained a train action sequence,
a shark fight,
as well as a pirate fight. And then this man literally gambling, turning his pocket change into 2 million, and is about to end up in a fucking shootout. Like it's great. It's so much fun.
He's just so. He's just such a good comic. He's so good. I love Edison Crane.
Edison Crane is so far just like, dude, he's just such a fun character, and I love it. But yeah, no, this issue was pretty. This is one of my favorites. This issue was really fun, and I loved it.
I think this is going to be my second or third. But the issue 4 is the next one. I think that one was my favorite.
Which is why we'll be talking about it. So
that's right. You ready for this?
Oh, dude, and plus the cover, dude.
As always,
awesome.
Watching him dive and the way that they did the streaks.
Yeah.
It looks so cool.
Yeah, the thing is, like, I've seen Rafael Albuquerque's Batman, and I've seen some American Vampire, but this is by far my favorite thing he's ever drawn. Like, it's well done.
It is very well done. But anyway, let's get started. And right away, we'll show you why it's my favorite issue. It's because the relationship he has with this old girlfriend is so funny.
Oh, it's hilarious.
Yeah. Apparently, the last time they met, he got her father put into 16 life sentences. And, in fairness, he deserved it. He was a wanted man in 27 countries. He was the mastermind behind a massacre, and he was trying to sell terrorists a nuclear submarine. But this girl, God bless her, was willing to overlook all of her father's flaws. Because even though he was a bad person, he was a good dad. He never forgot a birthday, and he had a wonderful singing voice.
Exactly. So obviously that will redeem, trying to sell a nuclear submarine.
But anyway, she's really upset at him because even though he technically won the money fair and square, he is banned from every casino alive because he just kind of destroys the concept of a casino. So he's just not allowed in them.
Yeah. So, even though he did say that he won it fair and square.
He did win it fair and square. It's just fair and square for him is just not fair inherently.
Exactly. It's like the thing is because when I read that part, like that this scene, like when she said like you're the smartest man in the world, you're legally banned from every casino in existence. It's basically like him. Like what he does is like how like people get kicked out of Vegas for like counting cards because that's illegal.
But it's just him. It's technically not illegal. It's just the casinos can kick you out because it's their business, so they can just stop you from playing.
Yeah, it's true.
So it's looked down upon, but I don't think there's technically a law against it.
Okay.
But correct me if I'm wrong, viewers.
Yeah, put in the chat. Is it illegal to count cards? Will you get extradited from Vegas like how Ben Affleck did it way back? Because he did do it. He's literally not allowed to be. He literally is not allowed to gamble with any Vegas casino because he straight up was smart enough to cheat Vegas to cheat them.
I mean, when you got the skill, you got the skill. It just happens.
True.
But anyway, I think this next line I think is my favorite line in the whole issue. They're trying. He's looking around the room and he sees that there's a fire extinguisher and he's like, "Has that been tested recently?"
Yeah,
and her response is baffling. It's like, "Of course it has. I don't want my players being in danger."
Word.
And he just whacks her and he takes it and he just beats all of them. And he jumps out the window and he uses the fire extinguisher and he lands in the moving truck that they timed exactly 300 seconds after he told them to from the last issue. And he lands and he blocks a bullet.
Like, here's the thing, right? Just to go back to the previous page real quick, the fact that this man was analyzing all of this man's weapons so that he knew he basically like he could utilize what they're using to his advantage.
That was the very Sherlock Holmes part, I thought.
Exactly.
Like the movie Sherlock Holmes.
Straight up like Robert Downey Jr. Sherlock Holmes. And then and even like in the fight, I think it was great. Like, he literally uses every object that they're holding against him. And it's so great. And
it's just
and then, as Demoan said, he literally lands in the van at the nick of time. It's like very Sherlock Holmes, very Indiana Jones, and I love this.
But anyway, of course, he gets away, and they're going off to meet their friends at ISIS. We then get this little. That's what he says. We're going to meet our friends at ISIS.
That's true.
But anyway, in the next panel, it's this little. I guess political cartoon they describe it as, and it's a picture of like kings, and they say we rule you, of the clergymen of like religions, and they say we fool you. There's the military, we shoot you. Just regular wealthy people, we eat for you, and then there's the common man at the very bottom, and they work for all and they feed all. And they're talking about this, and it's this basically it's a cake. That's the cartoon, and it was passed down. It's a cartoon from 1900, and it was popularized 11 years later. And basically, they've used this picture to symbolize this is our relationship to the cattle people of this world, and this is where they explain everything. Basically, they talk about how they have a traveler who was a genius, and he wanted to create a society that was based on love and forgiveness, which is beautiful. However, the people in charge were taught the exact opposite. So the people they ruled were taught to turn the other cheek, and the people in charge were taught to humiliate and hurt even those that they loved.
Awful.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. And they just keep going, and they talk about how they were told to make a grand machine that was a gateway to a second Earth. How he's been like adored. He's committed all these horrors, and he's so happy with it. But he realizes that his time is up, and that it's time for the next Grand Dragon, and that he wants to be put to death like his father before him, and he wants it to be brutal. And then a bunch of women just assault him with knives, butter knives, I think. Yeah. And then they kick the shit out of him with their stiletto shoes. And then the new Grand Dragon, you can assume, and we soon find out that you're right if you assume that. He says enough. It's his son, of course. And his son does put the final knife into his father. But not before he calls his father pathetic. And that he's glad that he won't get to meet these people.
Yeah.
And basically, he's just rubbing it in his dad's face as he kills him. But then, what?
As you do.
It's exactly. if you're gonna kill your father, taunt him along the way. That's I think someone said that once.
Exactly.
But anyway, we cut back to Syria, and they're talking, and this is actually where we learn more about how his brain works.
Mm-hmm.
So people have like photographic memory, which means like they remember everything they've seen. His is more complicated than that. He actually doesn't just recall the information; he actually learns it. Like he can't turn the pages of a book fast enough. So for him to learn all the information, like if he turns the pages of a book, he'll learn the information slower than he wants to. And so he got the nickname Human Ghoul. And then Rachel goes along to throw out a bunch of facts at him, and he nails them all. And Rafik says, "You don't even bother. I once spent the whole night just asking him questions off the internet, and he got all of them."
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. But he keeps talking, and then he talks about how his mind works and how he can compartmentalize different parts of his brain to tackle different aspects of problems. But he can also take different compartments and move more attention to different problems, which is very cool. Like he says, for example, right now, he's working on a career plan for the henchman he hired in Pakistan. He's writing an overture for a French festival, and he's trying to find a missing teenager, all at the same time.
Yeah, and I think he also does mention like the rocket.
Yeah, he does. He mentions the rocket a little because he realizes that NASA fucked up. For some reason, they thought it was gonna be here in 17 years, but it's gonna be here in 2.
Yeah,
that's so far off, NASA.
And then like you literally like have like his other cells being like, wait, are you fucking serious? Like really? Right? It's like, oh, I checked the numbers 100 times. Yes.
Right? And they said there's nothing they can do because it's 2 years. That's too short.
Exactly.
They were operating off 17 years, and he was going to have it diverted in 12 and a half. I think they're going to be a little late on this one.
Yup.
But anyway, he realizes that this is a problem, and he says, "Hey, bring all the other me's in to focus on this thing right now, because this is important." So he does that, and then he cuts back, and we get bad news. The Americans are going to bomb the temple just to show that nothing is off limits, which I think sounds like the most American military thing to do ever.
Yeah.
Like, wow.
Basically.
But anyway, it's a 3-hour drive. They're going to be there in like just over an hour. And he says, "Get me a plane. I have $2 million if he can get here and get us there." And they said they don't have to get there before the planes. They just have to intercept the planes, basically.
Yeah.
So they get on the plane, and they're flying, and they ask if the machine guns work. He's getting a parachute for some reason right now. We don't know why yet. And then we see behind him, there's the American planes, and they drop the bombs. And how are we going to stop this, Mikey? How would you stop a bomb being dropped out of a plane?
I mean, I would just, be like, shit, and then just ram the plane up into the missile, and in the last second, I just jump out and hope I don't die.
Honestly, that's probably what I'd probably figure out too. There's no way that I would have jumped, and no way I would have done what Edison Crane done.
No.
Edison Crane decides to jump out of the plane, land on the bomb, and then manually disable it. However, he does give it to the British that they make good bombs.
Yeah. And it's funny how like even like it's an American plane, but like even the Americans don't make their own bombs.
Right?
Which is true.
And it's insane. But anyway, he goes on and he disarms the bomb and he lands in the complex, and the terrorists are like, we're gonna hold you hostage. You're the smartest man alive. You know how much ransom you can get?
No, they don't initially do that. They basically like, hey, like, got our $2 million, and he's just like,
Right.
No.
He didn't have the $2 million on him.
Because he used it to hire the guy to get them transport.
And you'd think they'd be a little more understanding about that, seeing as how he just saved them all.
Exactly.
But no. And then they start speaking to him in Bedouin. And Rachel says she doesn't understand Bedouin.
Yeah.
1 second. Sorry. Thank you. And Rachel says she doesn't understand Bedouin. Keep that in mind. That's very important for later.
That actually is very important. Yeah.
Anyway, he goes on to talk to them. It's like, hey, he's looking for the money, but he thinks the starting price just went up. And the guy says, we can switch to English if you want. And then he says he's gonna ransom him, basically. And of course, Edison already has a plan. And of course, having a plan is half the battle.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what the other half is?
No, Demoan, what is the other half?
It's knowing. Knowing is half the battle.
Yes.
You know who said that? My good friend, G.I. Joe.
Okay, I just got that. Great. No, that good.
So, honestly, with everything he knows, I think he has the whole battle.
Yeah.
But anyway, they're talking about the Americans launched a second bomb, by the way, and they have 3 minutes to get out. And he basically says, "Hey, meet me here in like 90 seconds. I'm gonna run through the whole building and memorize everything." And he does. He just grabs 2 guns and starts killing terrorists, and he does everything. It's insane.
It's nuts, but
the issue ends with him running away, running into this building to kill the terrorists and get the information.
Yup.
And then, so what are your thoughts on this issue?
This shit is so awesome.
It's so good.
Because what makes this book really great is especially in the second half or from issues 4 to 5, where you think Edison has no way out of this, but then you forget
he's Edison.
Yeah, but you forget he's Edison, and then he always finds a way out of it.
He shouldn't find a way out of it ever. That's just a fact. I'm going to throw it out there right now.
That's true.
But a normal person wouldn't, but he's just better than people, so he does.
But this issue again, as we said of the last one, very fun, very fast paced, great action. Especially I've never thought of that's a way to disarm a missile. Literally mounting the missile while it's literally
no, because it's the dumbest way to disarm a missile ever.
That's true.
If you mess up, the missile just goes off early.
Yeah, it's
no fun. But he does it because he's just better.
Exactly. But yeah, no, it's great. I mean, I also do love again seeing the his subconscious is so cool. I think it's seeing all the different Edisons and how his mind works, and it's so interesting.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, it's good. It's very good. Very, very fast paced. Very interesting, especially when we get more of the backstory behind the brother of the dragon. And yes, and seeing the Francis die gruesomely, and it's really good. It's really good, really fun. But yeah, it's just again, always forget that he's Edison and that
he's just
always finds a way out of it.
He's just better. It's the only way to describe him. Better.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
But anyway, we're starting issue 5. Another good cover. I'm not gonna lie, I do miss our boy Edison on the cover a little bit.
That's true.
I do think this one still looks very cool.
Yeah, very culty, and I like it.
Mm-hmm. I especially like the 2 red Earths.
Mm-hmm.
That this thing is holding. I think it looks cool.
This when you look at it, when it actually it's kind of showcases what's gonna happen in the book, because it focuses more. Well, we're still getting Edison, the smartest man alive, but it's also we're going more of the supernatural stuff now. We're straying away from science and all that shit, and archaeology and all that stuff, and we're focusing on the supernatural aspect now of the Brotherhood of the Dragon and all that stuff. So it's really cool cover. I really like it a lot.
Yeah. Oh, gosh. But we start off this issue. He's killing terrorists, and he's running into this temple, and he's trying to get out before he drops this bomb. And as he's running through, he's catching little glimpses of like writings on the wall.
Word.
He's getting all this information, and the guy who's flying the plane is like, "How can you memorize an entire building?" And she's like, "Well, he's Edison Crane." And Rachel didn't forget that he was Edison Crane. I think that's very important.
Exactly. And I love how Albuquerque decides to frame this. So like you get, especially like the bottom, like the large panel of him shooting the terrorist, but at the same time you get, the brief panels of like his eyes moving from like left to right, and him spotting the information. I think that's such a great way to indicate that. I think it's really cool.
Because like it's showing he's still getting the information, but like he's also doing cool shit.
Exactly.
That's how it works. But anyway, they talk about he's still running through. He's memorizing everything, and he gets there. And he's like 45 seconds. He wants him to come in at 50 miles an hour. But then guess what, Mikey? Our boy Edison Crane, he gets shot.
Dude. It's my favorite part of this issue because like the moment he gets shot, his subconscious like, holy shit, guys, I got shot. We got fucking shot. Everyone just starts going crazy.
My favorite part is the subconscious is actually my favorite part of him getting shot. I think you're right.
For me too. Because it's so great.
It goes and it's like, hey guys, can we deal with this? And they're like, but we have an asteroid. And it's like, well, I think you living kind of depends on this asteroid altogether too. So it's a lot. So basically, now that he's shot, the plan changes, and he runs through them, and he jumps out the other side of the building, but he jumps out onto the plane on the side that doesn't have a door. So he just grabs on to one of the bars hanging from the wing as a support.
Because again, he wanted the plane to be tilted at a 45-degree angle.
He has everything planned out. And of course, they got him. The second bomb came in. The terrorists are dead. Unfortunate, but you know what? They're terrorists, so they're
of course. I mean, so yeah,
they're not the best people either. I mean, probably don't deserve death, but not the best.
Yep.
Anyway, they take him to the emergency room. And they're like, he's a mess. They're trying to move on to the table and everything. And they're talking all this medical jargon, basically. And in the meantime, he wakes up. They're trying to put him under anesthesia. And he's like, whoa. How old is that surgeon?
He's like, the surgeon's 24 years old. No, you have like 4 more years of experience to do
at least 6 more years. He needs to be at least 30 before he's comfortable with it.
Exactly.
And then he just offers to do it himself, and then he just kind of passes out from pain, and I think they anesthetized, and cardiac arrest. He went into cardiac arrest. And he went down, and in the meantime, he has this dream. And the dream is them watching. He's basically just processing all the information.
Basically.
And I think the only like dialogue on this page is, I don't speak Bedouin, but who the hell does? Again, very important. You'll see why within the next issue.
Yeah, I don't have these pages, but yeah, they're really cool. And again,
but anyway, he wakes up 48 hours later, and he's like, he asks, "Did I just do an unconscious surgery on myself?" And of course, the doctor's like, "You know what? Believe it or not, there are other smart people out there too." Of course, there's a little banter. He's asked how you're feeling. He says it's an improvement from death, bleeding. And then the guy corrects him and saying he's actually 25. But our boy Edison catches him, and that he turns 25 next week because he took the time off to spend time with his sister.
Exactly.
But anyway,
I don't want to say, like, I like some of my favorite scenes, like this like subtle, like this little breathing room of, like, again, proving that like even though Edison is the smartest man in the world, he can't really do everything because he tried to do surgery on himself, but when the cardiac arrest and basically it's him just being like, yeah, like us understanding like sometimes his arrogance gets the best of him and it's difficult for him to trust people that also do know what they're doing, So I liked it a lot. This scene,
right? But anyway, basically he does thank the doctor for saving his life. So he's not ungrateful.
Yeah.
But he says, the doctor just says, "Hey, take it easy." And he says, "Give me your marker pen. I want to make sure I don't die from post-op infection." Which, of course, the doctor assures him that he'll be fine because this is a modern medical hospital. And he'll be fine. But he gets the marker pen anyway. And then we see Rachel coming in 2 hours later, and our friend Edison has bought the hospital. He's moving neurology and cardiology to the same floor because he needs apparently his whole room and floor to write words on the wall. And basically, and Rachel comes in and sees all this scribbling. And she's like, "Should you even be out of bed?" And he's like, "Well, I'm dealing with far worse than I imagine." And he's just going over like everything. He's talking about the entire plan, the mathematical code, everything that was stored away. And then he goes on to give like the actual history. There's a king called Kush, who was very evil and basically lost all of his humanity and destroyed everything, including his own planet. And his plan is to do that with our planet. And in order to do that, he sent his son to construct a bridge. A bridge so his whole army could come. But his son traveled back in time to Babylon, where he was basically worshipped as a god. They built the Tower of Babel, but it wasn't actually just the Tower of Babel. It was what it was supposed to be for the thing, for the gateway.
Yeah, the gateway.
But fortunately for us, he never managed to open the gateway. So he decided to pass it down through history so that his bloodline could survive being awful people. And basically that's how it went. He's describing all of that. And fun fact, they rebuilt the secret machine they need, and they did it in plain sight, right on the French-Swiss border. And it's the Large Hadron Collider. That's what it was, and that's the new portal. And anyway, the Dragonhood, they're plotting for the city, trying to take it. They're going to go public. They're trying to destroy everything. And of course, Rachel wants to know if she got everything, and she's pulling out a gun. And of course, our boy assures. Now, our boy is looking away from Rachel, and he has this look on his face where he has an eyebrow raised and a smirk. And he says, "Please, he's hardly a man who's careless with details." And this is actually a double meaning, because he's saying that. I'm sorry, I spaced for a second. He's saying that he didn't miss a single detail of all the math and stuff from the scrawlings on the cave, but he's also saying he didn't miss another detail, which I'll bring up later, which he brings up later.
Yeah.
And anyway, Rachel betrays him, shoots him a couple of times with looks like tranquilizers.
Yeah, tranq darts.
And turns out she's a bad guy. Oh no. And here we have, she's the brother of the Grand Dragon right here. And they gotta thank him, of course. Missing blueprints. He found them. The attacks were aborted, but you know what? Our boy Edison actually helped them. He got them the blueprints that they were missing, and now they can get started. And that's how the issue ends with them.
He's fixed the teleportation problem.
He's fixed the teleportation problem for them.
Yeah.
But of course, we still have one more issue for our boy to wrap this all up. So let's see how he fixes it.
Oh, you want to just go straight into it? All right.
No, you know what? I honestly, I was going to because I'm so excited, but we should talk about this issue first. What were your thoughts?
I like this. I mean, I want to have a question. Did you see the Rachel turn coming or no?
I did not see. Let me phrase it. I wasn't looking for a traitor with him, so it was a surprise. But looking back, she was very like I reread this for the podcast.
Yeah, so
rereading it, she was very sketchy the whole time.
I mean, yeah, the thing is, like, with me, I wasn't really searching for like a traitor twist, but like I kind of did see it a little bit, but like I just ignored it because I didn't want it to happen. And then when it did happen, I was like, shit, okay. But yeah, this issue is really it's great. I do love the moment with the him and the doctor. That's like one of my favorite ones. Kind of like the fact that, like, you know, again, he's the smartest man in the world, but at the same time,
even he needs help.
Even he needs help, and I like that. But yeah, no, it's very, very fun. Again, also with the him getting shot was so funny, man. Oh god, it's so funny. Because it's like the SpongeBob meme where, like, you know, it's inside his head and like all the various SpongeBob are just like everything's on fire. That's what I thought.
He has a job.
That's what I thought. But yeah, it's really fun. I mean, yeah, the Rachel twist was again kind of expected, but I was so surprised I didn't want it to happen. And yeah, no, it's great. I mean, now the plan is coming to fruition, but I did like the fact that, like, he did all the work for them. And that, you know, how this whole predation issue was previously mentioned, and now it's
solved by him. I think it's a very cool twist that he solved their problem.
Exactly. Yeah, I think that was the real twist for me was that right there.
Yeah, I think that was it for me.
Yeah,
I think once I realized that he solved their problem, the twist that she was a traitor was just kind of expected.
Yeah, and also the fact that, like, you know, the alien invasion is the invasion from the other Earth is coming. Which is, yeah, we get this page here.
Exactly.
But yeah, also I referred to the guy's name as, you said Kush. You call him King Kush.
Yeah.
I called him King Kush, and I was just like, I don't know if this is right, but for my entertainment, he's King Kush.
Yeah, that's how I was pronouncing him too. I just wasn't sure, and I wasn't initially gonna go with Kush on this podcast.
Fair enough.
But if that's what we're going with King Kush the rest of the time.
Gotcha. King Kush. Sounds like a rapper.
It kind of does.
Yeah.
Anyway, do you think
it's just great cover.
He's about to drop a bomb too.
True. But great cover. I like this cover.
Yes, great cover. We get Dashwood in the back in his dragon uniform. We get Rachel. And as always, Edison just sitting there looking cool.
Looking cool.
Light in his head. I love him.
Yeah. Great.
But anyway, we're at the collider basically. And we see the statue of Shiva, and they go on to explain that the Shiva was given by India to just warn of death and destruction. And he talks, and the Dashwood talks about like how people are too bothered with like celebrities and stuff to know like this kind of history. And he's looking at Edison and he's like, I'm guessing you remember me from school. And lo and behold, this is Tinker. Tinker Edison kicked the shit out of.
Exactly. I love this. I was like, this is great.
But I actually didn't expect that.
I didn't expect that at all.
Complete twist when it came. I thought it was just going to be a side character in the beginning, like a setup story, but he was important. I didn't expect it.
Yep.
But anyway, our boy Tinker, he's grown up and he goes by Francis Dashwood now.
Yeah.
And then there's Rachel. She's his half sister, and she's really smart. Clever, not as smart as him, but smart enough to fool him.
Exactly.
And of course, and I hate when people do this. I understand that it's fun. Like they set up like a cool code name where it's like, oh, it's an anagram for I'm really a traitor.
Yeah.
And like they did it apparently twice.
Yeah, because Bear, what's this motherfucker's name? Bear Thriftback is also an anagram as well.
Yeah. Yes.
I forgot of
Yes,
what.
Frank the Rabbit.
Yeah,
He was
Frank
the
the Rabbit.
imaginary character in Danny Darko.
Which I never saw. I never saw that movie. So,
So, but that means the general just didn't exist. So that was all of what's it called?
it was all made up. It was
that story.
Yeah.
But anyway, they keep talking, and he's like, "How?" Basically, when I went over you, I deduced all of this stuff, and she's like, "I made a whole personality with like 300,000 points." Like she was lactose intolerant. She hadn't spoken to her best friend in 18 months, which is so specific. But over 10,000 characteristics, and that's insane.
She created a full 3-dimensional character to make sure that she accurately fooled him, and I love that.
Right? And it's crazy. But anyway, Edison asking, how could you do this to the people of Earth, to your people? And of course, our Francis Dashwood says, they're not my people. Don't you get it? I'm trying to go back to the other family. And they have all the communication stuff. And they're like, hey, you gave us all this information. We you know what? We've been giving you guys everything. The collider was just 3 6s in a logo.
Yep.
What did you think was going to happen? It's 3 6s in a logo. Like, these people are spoon feeding them like hints that they're going to take over.
Yeah, but like just no one cares.
Mm-hmm. It's because they were bred to be peace loving.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, basically they wanted to keep him busy until like the blueprints and everything were finished. And Edison goes like, "You're doing all this because I broke your jaw at school." And apparently, according to Francis, the destruction of a whole human race is equivalent to him breaking his jaw. Because one humiliation deserves another.
So he's petty. Got it.
Mm-hmm. But anyway, he decides to open up a portal to the other Earth, talking to King Kush, and they're talking about how they're going to send the whole fleet over. And Rachel and Francis are so excited.
Yeah, they're like, we're going to meet our people. It's going to be fun. We've won.
They're sending ships to all the major cities to be destroyed. And they're sending the first wave of bombers now. And of course, we see our boy Edison, and they're going like, "Hey, what are you doing?" And he's like, he's picking a safe spot. And of course, they tell him nowhere safe. And that they're basically he says no one's safe. They assure him that no one's safe, and that nowhere is safe. And he's like, "Well, okay. Do you mind staying where you are? This is gonna be funny." And he just kind of ignores everything that she's saying. He's insulting her. And then all of a sudden,
sorry, I have to laugh for a second because this is, I literally thought, honest to God, that he literally lost. I thought that, I thought, holy shit. I don't know how Edison can get out of this. Then I remember he's fucking Edison.
Yeah, fun fact, he's also a world-class actor. Because and we'll get into like why the Bedouin's important in a second.
Yeah.
But basically he explains to Francis that he just sent everyone here. He sent the ship here to take out his security team. And then he sent the rest of the ships into the sun. He then says, "Well, I'm still have you hostage. You're in handcuffs, and we have a connection to the homeworld." The thing is, though, Edison talks to the computer, and he sends 8292 magnanimity through, and of course, Of course, our boy Francis, and he did it right after Francis ceased all teleportation.
Yeah.
Edison hit the override button, and Francis is just like, "What the fuck did you send through?" And lo and behold, our man solving two problems at once. That asteroid, remember? The one that's 2 years away, not 17?
Yeah.
Boom. Right now, it's right on top of parallel Earth.
Dude, I literally was like, no, this book is too good, bro.
It was the most G move ever. It was so cold.
This man literally foiled their entire, made them think that they had the upper hand and won, and then foiled their entire plan in literally like 2 minutes.
Right? It's insane. And of course, Francis is bugging. Like, how did you know that everything was being set up? And this is, remember why I said Bedouin's important? He says, she said she was CIA. Speaking Bedouin in the area she was stationed was a requirement. So if she's lying about that, she's lying about everything. So this motherfucker decided not to learn Bedouin and gave up their whole plan.
Dude, this is so great.
It's so
I love how like that detail that was mentioned in issue 2 literally is the reason why the plan gets foiled at the end.
It's that she's CIA and that she doesn't speak Bedouin. And that's it. That's how the whole thing unraveled. It's so brilliant.
Yeah.
Let me rephrase. It makes the character look so brilliant, and I love it because I saw something I would have seen coming.
No.
As a character. I'm trying to save the world. But anyway, Francis is like, you're still locked with a bunch of armed men. And of course, our boy Edison got out of his handcuffs and has captured our boy Francis and threatens to kill him. And so everyone stops because they don't want their Grand Dragon to die. That would just suck. But also, these are the other homeworld is dead too. So these are the last survivors of the royal family, period.
Mm-hmm.
So like they're here and he takes him, he goes back onto the ship. They're holding him. He has the ship close its doors, put on its force field, and then he has them drop the bomb. You remember that bomb that just destroys all matter?
Yep.
He has them drop it, and then it explodes. Luckily, the force field is good, but then he kills the pilot, and he's left there with just Francis. And Francis is like, it's just like school all over again. He wants to know why he can never catch a break. Francis, the man trying to kill everyone, wants to know why he can't catch a break. Ridiculous. But anyway, of course, he gets some good advice before he's killed. He's told to try to be less of an asshole. I don't think he's going to take that advice, honestly. No.
Well, then he dies.
But he was giving it, and that's the important thing. But anyway, Edison's finally saved the world, and it's 1 week later, and he's back to doing silly stunts. That's right. He's right after saving the world, he's back to stunts. This time, he's driving a car over from one building to another building over a bunch of helicopters.
Yeah, like how the kid what Candace said. One of the kids requested on his itinerary. So it's the same. He's doing it. He's actually doing it, and I love that.
And also something very important to note: he did finally beat Romanov in chess.
Word.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's very important because that was also something that was just the first issue, and he's finally beaten him.
Mm-hmm.
So, and honestly, if you ask me, beating Romanov in chess was probably harder than saving the world.
Probably, yeah.
Romanov's good at chess.
He's good at chess.
But anyway, he's going to do his little stunt. Not little stunt. But anyway, the kid raised the stakes. At first, he was just going to jump a car from one building onto another. Now, he's jumping a car over some helicopters while dodging missiles and landing the car in a lake. And of course, the guy who's telling him this asks, is that even possible? And of course, Edison just says, we'll figure something out. Because he's doing it. And that's how it ends. With him, it ends the same way it ends with chess and stunts. The same way it started.
Exactly.
Oh, God. I really love this comic. I think Edison Crane is a great character.
He's
the random small like comedy moments he has where he like perfectly analyzes someone's life are some of the best moments. I think they're hilarious. I love them.
Yeah, but with this issue just in particular, like I love how everything that was referenced in the beginning is literally what helps him save the day at the end, and I loved that. Like it reminds you like the fuck he is the A-team. He's a single A-team because he basically just like, yo, I love it when he basically just is telling me, I love it when a plan comes together, essentially.
I mean, he really is. He's just the A-team all by himself, and it's a little ridiculous.
Yeah, it's awesome. And this, again, Francis being a whiny villain, I think is funny. Like, you know, he's just a child. He's a man-child who thinks it's not fair. He's not getting everything he wants. It's just like, it's great. Also, Rachel, the whole plan of like the whole plan being foiled in 2 minutes, and like Rachel's death is the funniest shit. I was literally laughing so hard because I thought it was hilarious. But yeah, no, this issue was really fun. And do you think the ending was a little like abrupt though? I feel like it should have been.
I feel like it was abrupt. I feel like it was also abrupt. I feel like he had a quota of episodes. I feel like he had like a maximum amount of issues, and then reached the amount of issues, and it's like shit. I have to finish this
because it's only like, if you count like front and back, it's only like it's like 4 pages. I feel like it could have added like 2 more pages in there, like another 4, and that would have been.
No, I think for sure. Because I think the scene with him actually like stopping them could have been like 1 or 2 pages longer.
Yeah, for sure. But
just because I think it's not because I think it needed to be, but because I think it's funny. I think it would have been fun.
But yeah, man, issue 6 was dope. So, I think it's like I don't want to do final thoughts. Like we'll do final thoughts real quick, but like. You want to talk about, now that we talked about the book, you want to talk about the Prodigy film real quick? What do you think the Prodigy film is gonna entail? Do you think they're gonna just do the exact same thing that they
I hope it's not the exact same thing. I hope it's kind of what they did with Jupiter's Legacy.
Yeah, I kind of want it to be different. I mean, they don't have to do the they could do if they adapted this story, I'd be fine. Like with the Brotherhood of the Dragon, because that seems like an antagonist that like actually connects with, like, you know, Edison's past. But but if they did something like totally different, I would like just a brand new like story. It'd be fine.
I think that I like that. I agree with that because honestly, I just like Edison Crane.
Yeah, like I could totally like see that like this issue 1 is like the introduction, and then the movie will be like a brand new adventure. So like in order to understand Edison Crane, you got to pick up this issue first, the storyline first, and then But yeah, I think a new story would be a great option. I'm very excited for it. I don't know when it's coming out because there's a bunch of other projects right now. But he said it's still in the Prodigy movie is still in development with Netflix. But like no one's cast, but I think they have writers for it as of I'm trying to look up like an article. But yeah, man, I can't wait. I
can't wait either.
I literally I'm excited. Well, I have one question though. Just to get your thoughts on it though. But like, who would you cast as Edison Crane? I'm curious.
I don't. My gut reaction for some reason was Michael B. Jordan, but I don't think he would be the best one.
The thing is, like, I also like didn't I kind of had issues with this because I kind of like didn't want to cast Michael B. Jordan or
that's my issue too.
Yeah, because like they're always
referred to. I don't want it. Yeah, I don't want it to be like the same 4 or 5 black actors that like. Because I know I'm thinking of another black actor who looks just like this character, but as a person, and I for some reason can't remember his name.
Yeah, word. Okay, so I'm looking at an article by Deadline. I'll screen share it real quick just to just so that our viewers can see. But yeah, so this article from Deadline, I had to like do the words, like do the find, but like so yeah, Prodigy is in development and it's gonna be a feature. And the writers of from Marvel's Eternals are going to write the film. Yeah, so Matthew and Ryan Furpo, who are doing the Eternals, are writing the screenplay for Prodigy, which what I've heard about Eternals and the writing and like the praise that Kevin Feige is giving off of that movie, I'm on board. Like,
yeah.
But
like, I think I found the name of the actor I was thinking of though.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, you can like screen share a photo if you want. But yeah, who's the actor who you?
It's Daniel Ezra. He played the main character in All American, a football show I watched with my sister.
Oh my God! No, the thing is, like, actually, my sister was watching that earlier today. Yeah, no, he is.
I think Daniel Ezra looks enough like him that it would be good.
Interesting. Wow. Okay, honestly, I'm not gonna fucking lie. That's actually pretty good. Yeah, I'll put up an image. Yeah, this guy right here, Daniel Ezra. This guy.
Yeah.
He's British. He's a British actor. Which is crazy because he plays an American extremely well.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah, I could see him. Yeah, I could see him. I could see him as. Yeah, actually,
I think the only thing is I think he's a little young for it.
That's true. Mark Millar said that like Edison Crane is like 35, around like in his mid 30s, so he wants someone at that age. But yeah,
but obviously you don't want to wait 30 years for him.
Yeah,
5 years for him. But
the thing is, I struggled with this because I wanted to get someone like perfect and someone who was around that age range. So someone who I have now, I'm pulling up the image right now. So one of my first pick for casting is the actor Regé John Page from Bridgerton. I don't know if you've ever like watched. I've never watched Bridgerton, but I've heard buzz about this actor. He's rumored to be in Black Panther. But I've seen some clips of him in Bridgerton. Really good actor. Can play a suave type character. So like a suave, charming type role, and he's of mixed race. Also British actor. So yeah, I think he could do a good job. My other pick. Okay, so I wanted someone who I thought was a good actor, but I've never really seen him in this type of role before. Like a more like it would be like more of like a James Bond. So my other pick is my other pick to play him is I'm trying to find an image, but Trevante Rhodes from Moonlight. What's it called? So like the actor who plays the older version of the main character, like the when he's a thug, like when he's a gangster. Yeah, he plays the older version known as of Chiron, known as Black, and yeah,
he'd also be really good.
Yeah, right here, Trevante Rhodes. He's like my second choice.
I think I might actually like him better than your first choice.
Yeah, I'm leaning towards him because I mean I've seen him in Moonlight. I've seen him in the Predator, like the recent Predator movie where he played a mercenary. So I want to see him in a more like I want to see him as a more like a James Bond
central character.
Yeah, I want to try and I want him to attempt to do like a James Bond type of role, like how Edison Crane is. So I think he could do it, and I think he could do a good job. But the thing is, like, now I don't know if I should put it out here because, like, I know the Blur Without Fear told me his recommended actor, and I don't know. I don't want him. I don't think I should. I don't want to reveal it because I think he's gonna do it for his video. So I'm not gonna.
Right, that makes sense.
Yeah, but yeah, those are my two picks for to play Edison Crane. But yeah, well, we'll do a review for it when it comes out. I don't even know when it will come out. Maybe next year, maybe either next year. I'm assuming, or
I'm saying 2 years from now. Honestly,
2 years, yeah.
Like they're just getting writers.
No. They've Matthew and Ryan Furpo. They've been writing it. I don't know if it's done or not, but they're.
Okay, I see.
So they're still looking
for a year and a half then.
Yeah, so they're still looking for a They haven't announced a director or a cast yet. So
yeah, so probably like 2 years then.
yeah. Jupiter's Legacy just came out, so like the Millarworld stuff just started, and Millarworld was bought 2 years ago. So, but yeah, so just to close off, any final thoughts on Prodigy? I'm happy we did this because like we've talked about how much we love this book for the past like 2 years. So like, yeah, so yeah, this book is great. It's like, again, seeing a black lead character being, a James Bond and an Indiana Jones and like a Tony Stark, and it's just awesome. I love it. It's so much fun. And again, Mark Millar, because like I know a lot of people don't really like Mark Millar for his like Marvel and DC and even some of his indie stuff, but like a lot of his more recent the stuff in the past like 10 years that he's done with Millarworld, especially stuff with Netflix, like this book is great. The Magic Order, that's the first Netflix book that they dropped, is also I hear is phenomenal. So there's that. But I mean, also I'm like a huge fan of like Kick-Ass and Wanted. Well, not really Wanted, but Kick-Ass. I really love this Kick-Ass.
I love Hit Girl. Hit Girl's also
Hit
good.
Girl, dude. Hit Girl's awesome. But
I
yeah,
but like for her.
When this book came, this is one of my favorite books he's ever done. I love this as well. But great Rafael Albuquerque, best I've ever seen him do. And it's just great storytelling.
It's also good and clean. I love it all.
So clean. It's phenomenal. It's so clean. But yeah. So what are your thoughts on the book?
I really enjoyed it. Like you said, really cool thing to see like a black main character this prominent doing like James Bond stuff. Like he's doing like a little of everything.
Yeah.
Like it's not just, this is Black James Bond. No, this is Black James Bond, but also like Black Indiana Jones, but also Black. He's a lot of things basically.
Yeah. He's a Swiss Army knife. He's not just one archetype.
That's right.
But yeah, this book is good. Obviously, for people who want to read it, just buy it. Like me and Demoan, we both have the trade for it. And yeah, it's good stuff. This is like, I know it's like the trade has just brief. Even though I wanted more, they have like brief like behind the scenes like stuff with like the characters and like a cool cover gallery at the end as well. My favorite. Okay, I'm thinking about buying this because I want the variant of like the first issue with this one. I want this variant so bad of him on the bike and him on the computer. I think it's so great, and it's Frank Quietly who draws it, who's known for Jupiter's Legacy with Mark. But yeah. So any other thoughts before we
not that I can think of.
Right. Oh well, yeah. So pick up Prodigy. Great book. Great book. Can't recommend enough. But yeah, so thanks for the people who have watched this or will watch this in the future. Yeah, so again, sorry for the hiatus, but we're planning on doing. There are going to be more. We're obviously going to start Invincible back up again, and so we're going to do Invincible as well as our 2 reviews for the show that we need to do for episodes 4 through 6, and then another review for episodes 7 and 8. That will happen. Jupiter's Legacy will also happen at some point, the book, and as well as the review for the first season of the show. Also look out because we're gonna also have some new podcasts, some maybe some more one and dones if we can get some more one and dones. Some Saga will maybe return, who knows? But we also a series that we will be introducing around next month is we're doing Brian K. Vaughan's Paper Girls, and I'm very excited for that because I always wanted to read that book, and it's gonna be great. But yeah, some more panels, one-shot panels are happening, some one-shot reviews for sure, because again, a lot of comic book content is coming out. Like Black Widow, Loki, like all that stuff is in the works. So be on the lookout for that. We have 180 subscribers, so almost at 200. My goal was to get to 200 at least, or almost at 200. So thanks for people for subscribing. Just be like, we really appreciate it. We're really grateful. Our Invincible video, Demoan. Remember last time we did Guardians of the Globe? Remember? You want to know how many views Invincible has right now? It's still the highest grossing video on the channel.
I would.
All right. So Invincible, the Invincible War, right now, has. Let's see. I know it's high. It's high as fuck. It has around 2.9K views right now. People are watching the hell out of it.
That's crazy.
So like it's nuts. So like 28 likes, 9 dislikes. So we went up 28 likes. So people are loving it, and yeah, we really appreciate it, guys. We can't appreciate it enough.
It means a lot. Thank you so much.
Yeah, of course. So again, so I got that squared away. Be looking for more content. Also Thursday, we are doing a review for the Mortal Kombat movie, which has been long overdue, and we're very excited to talk about that. So just gonna look out for that. Be looking for any other content for the rest of the summer. And so yeah, so be safe, get vaccinated, do all that shit. Comment, like, subscribe, and of course, get home safe. We'll catch you all next time. Peace.